sports fans, ASMR Sports, back with a PSA reveal video. I have had a chance to look through these, so these are not going to be a surprise to me. Hang on one sec. See if I can plug my phone in here. It's got a low battery, notice. Alright, mission accomplished. Although now I have a stupid charging cable in my way, so I might knock the phone off. Oh well, this is pre-recorded, so I can edit anything out I need to. Okay, so this order of cards is all vintage cards. I think it's like, gosh, it's like pre-1990. It is the requirement. And quite a few months ago, PSA had a special where it was like $15 a card for vintage cards, pre-1990 cards. So this is what these were sent in under. So it cost $15 to grade, and I think I've mentioned this before, but this order contains a bunch of cards that belong to a friend of mine who I've known since, well, he was actually one of the people that originally got me into collecting cards when I was a kid back in like 1987. So a lot of these cards, interestingly, I remember seeing when I was a kid, and they were pretty cool back then. These days, I realize they're not in that great of condition, but still, back then, $1 sort of base rookie from 86 Tops, or like a, second year Dwight Gooden was pretty hot stuff. So, these kinds of cards were, pretty impressive for someone like me back then. Well, let's start it off with a kind of a misfire. This seems to happen every time I send in, like really, really old cards, like, well, not really old, but like, 60s and 70s cards. There's a fair chance that one or two is going to be rejected. This card says min size requirement, so the minimum size requirement was not met, meaning that this card is smaller than what they accept as a card with the correct dimension. So the sort of reading between the lines there, could be that this was trimmed at some point by somebody, or it could be that sometimes these cards just come from the factory. Smaller than their counterparts. I actually see now there's a ton of wax stain on this card as well, so that's actually kind of interesting. But what really would have impacted the grade, and there's also a little crease down the middle, so this probably would have been like a PSA 2 or something if it had graded, which for this card is probably not gonna make it worth the grading fee. So it was sort of a mistake to send this. I'm not exactly sure why I did, but suffice to say, this did not receive a grade. So there's one other card that did not receive a grade, so we'll talk about that when we get there too, because it was kind of for a different reason. So here we have an 86 Fleer sticker Jordan. So this is rookie, rookie sticker. Kind of a nice second fiddle to his 86 Fleer base card, rookie. And I've never owned one of these, so it was cool to see one of these. I remember this is one of the cards I remember that my friend had back in the day, and thought it was pretty cool. Although back then it was probably only worth like $5-10, just because basketball cards, back in the late '80s were really did not have much value at all. You could probably get Jordan rookies for like $50, $100 maybe, in good shape. So this guy was not terribly valuable. But anyway, sent this in. This did have some wax on it. These are inclined to have wax on them, I think, on the back, because they're in the back of the pack where they seal the wax. So that means some heated wax gets, pressed against it. And these will generally all come out of the packs with wax stain on them, but you can take like just a microfiber cloth and kind of wipe it off, and it will come off pretty cleanly. So sometimes they would give these like an ST for stain qualifier. But this one did not get that, so just a regular old 5 grade. So a pretty low grade, for any kind of 80s card, but for the highest of the high end, which I consider any, rookie or Jordan, this card is still going to have some value. Maybe it's only, $50. I actually did sort of think it would be fun to look some of these up, so I think I will actually take the liberty of doing that. I'll switch over in a sec. There's going to be a lot of PSA graded ones. I'm going to have to narrow it down to PSA 5. Alright, I'll get you over here. So we want to, of course, look at sold listings, not active. Wow, for some reason I did not think this would be so valuable, but actually pretty valuable. So these are all, comps in the last week or couple weeks. 535, 520, 682. 600. So yeah, I think this is, a $500 to $600 card with kind of one outlier there north of 600. But really, that's the only one. You get a couple of bidders that got out of control. So I might just mark some of these, because I know my friend, is not really an active collector, so he wouldn't really have too much of a sense of what things are worth. So that's a great result for him, to in fact, I think I might get some sleeves out here for these really nice cards. These are the Perfect Fit PSA sleeves that I'm a fan of for PSA graded cards. These are, I think, I have these up on my hotcardboard.com site if you want to order them. Should be pretty reasonably priced. To try to keep my supplies pretty reasonably priced. So yeah, that's a real nice card. And a nice start. I was kind of surprised that is as high as it is, since it's a sticker and it's a fairly low grade. Speaking of low grade stickers, here's the next year sticker, 87. And this one is going to be significantly less because, you know, second year is just not as desirable in the collector's eye. But I will tell you something about these 87 Fleer basketball cards. These cards are actually rarer than the 86s. They made significantly less of this product than the 86 because there really was not demand for the 86 Fleer basketball cards when those came out, and that's why, you know, many collectors who were around back then, or really were around, you know, between 86 and like probably about 1990 or so, when the basketball card Beckett was first published and basketball cards kind of took off in the eyes of the modern basketball collector. But between that period, you know, 86 Fleer basketball cards were just absolutely not desired. You know, people will tell you stories about having boxes of 86 Fleer basketball cards they could not sell for like $15 back in, like, you know, 87, 88. You know, now those boxes are those are worth hundreds, probably between $100,000 and $250,000, depending on, you know, the auction and the particular box. So, anyways, 87. I'm pretty bullish on 87 Fleer basketball. I think if the sports card market continues to be in the toilet, you know, and we see dropping prices, I am gonna, you know, assuming I have the money, I'm gonna probably make a play on some unopened 87 Fleer basketball cards, because those are you know, just gonna be harder and harder to find. And I also sort of just love that set. Let's check this one out. Just go, and unfortunately this is a 4, so it's not only a much less valuable card, it's also a lower grade. So here we see some kind of older listings. August 8th, $83. July 30th, $70. March. So, yeah, that's a PSA 8. It's kind of crazy to me that a 4 sells for $80, $70 to $80, and an 8, where was that 8? Or maybe it was a 6. No, it was an 8. Only sold for $222. I mean, that's sort of strange to me. An 8 should be worth way more than a 4, but I don't know. So I'm gonna put $70 to $80 on this one. Alright, next up, second year Jordan. This one is really nicely centered. It has some like printer defects on the bottom there. And there's also a scratch right there, so that's largely what's responsible for the grade here, because otherwise this is a PSA 7 all day long, I think. You know, corners are not perfect, but they're pretty dang sharp. Edges are nice and centering is solid. So this is a card that I think presents really well, and I think it should sell, you know, for the high range of the high end of the range for this PSA 5 grade, if not, you know, at the height of that range. So let's mosey on over, shall we? We can just save. Alright, well, there's some strange, lots of cards right there. Alright, August 16th, sold for $245. August 15th, $210, $200, so about $200 to $225, I think, is, well, let's say $240. these are all, I think, pretty good results for my friend because, you know, these cards were just sitting around in his closet for many, many years. And I think he's happy to know that he's got some, you know, relatively liquid value in these. Maybe he'll keep them, maybe he'll sell them. You know, if he asked me if I would be interested in them, I would probably be interested in these at the right price, but, you know, it would be something like, I don't know, 20 to 25% off of like these comps, because, you know, if you sell these at the comps, you're automatically making 15% less for all the fees and everything. And, you know, that doesn't leave a whole lot of room. So, I don't know. If I do end up buying these, maybe, and if anybody has interest, maybe I'll just put them on my site for, you know, something lower than the comps, so that y'all can get a deal and I can maybe have a hope of selling these things for, you know, a very small, like a 5% profit or something like that, which honestly isn't really worth the time. Which is why, you know, if you sell cards to like a card dealer, you know, they're gonna give you like, if it's not a super hot card, they're gonna give you like, you know, 55% of the comp, and you sort of understand why. You know, if you run the numbers and if you value your time, you kind of have to have some profit in it. You know, it sucks for everybody for sure, but just the nature of the beast. Our 88 Fleer Jordan PSA 6. Let's see what this one's. I guess I didn't even talk about this card, but it's just the next year, and it's one grade higher, so that's nice. A lot of these All-Star cards are pretty valuable. I think they generally are as valuable, or sometimes more valuable in high grade than the base card. Or we still get a 6 at $60, $61. So yeah, this is right about $60 even, pretty much every. So kind of nice that all the comps are. Nice and tight. Alright, well, to complete the Jordan sticker collection, we got the 86, we got the 87, here's the 88. There are probably some 89 stickers in this from my friend's collection, but probably chose not to send those in because A, they're all wildly off-center, and B, they're not really valuable enough to warrant it unless they're super sharp. And a lot of the cards that my friend had, like, you know, hundreds of cards, all of which were, you know, pretty decent, but well, I shouldn't say, there was probably, you know, another maybe 20, 30, 40 cards, which if they were like PSA 7 or better, I might have suggested sending them in, but they were just too beat up. So let's check out this one. Sorry, bring over here. Alright, well, wow, this is quite a range here. This is $53 on August 24th, and on August 23rd it's $20, so I suspect reality is probably somewhere in between and maybe closer to 20, so yeah, $29.99 on August 23rd, which was yesterday. $40, 20, so yeah, we'll say it's like a $30 card, and there are some comps that are quite low, so I wouldn't want to suggest that it's worth maybe, you know, $40, even though there is one comp there in this weird one. A lot of them are quite low, so I don't know, I think 40 is even a bit high for this. So I don't know, I think I'm going to say like 30 to 35 is what this one's worth. he's a big Celtics fan. In fact, he bought tickets to a Celtics playoff game that ultimately did not happen because they got eliminated too soon. And this past season, and anyways, he's Larry Bird's his favorite player, so I'm sure this card will be one he wants to keep, maybe long term. Let's see what this one's worth. I guess we're just looking them all up. Now we might get some of the rookies shown, or the Dr. J, Magic, and Bird rookies. But looks like we're getting the card we want. So this card, along with the Magic Johnson from this set, which were the first solo cards of these guys. So maybe some might consider them their rookies, but not really, in my view. These were super hot during the pandemic blow up, but they've cooled down quite a bit. But anyways, the two recent comps for right on the $50 button, $47.72. So maybe they're dropping a little bit, but it seems like maybe 40 to 50 is what I'd call this one. Pretty good for a card like this, which I think before the pandemic blow up, this card, you probably could find in a dollar box pretty consistently, ungraded, and a lot of those ungraded cards probably would be 6s or 7s at least, but that's a 5. Now this one's very interesting. As you may or may not know, Star cards, basketball cards, were kind of these oddball issues. They did not come in packs. They came in team sets that were in bags, Mylar bags, or not Mylar, but some kind of plastic bag. And I'm not exactly sure where they were sold or distributed. Something like this with the Miller Lite promotional thing on there. Might have been given away at games or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure there's an answer, but I just have never really bothered to look it up. But anyways, these cards, have been around since the mid 80s, and there are quite a number of Jordan Star cards, including ones back to 84 when he actually was a rookie, rather than 86 when Fleer was first able to put him on a card. So it's an interesting kind of product that until fairly recently was sort of limited by the fact that PSA would not grade these. They just took the view that they could not authenticate them because apparently there's a lot of forgeries of these and always has been, so they just took the view that they could not authenticate them, so they just weren't going to do it. And so the only way that you get one of these cards graded was to send it to BGS. I don't know if SGC did them, but if PSA doesn't grade your cards, it's kind of a problem. It really sort of limits the market and the interest of people in buying a card. So anyways, ultimately PSA did recently change this position, and the Jordan Star cards shot up in value because now all of a sudden more people would be collecting them if they were in PSA holders. Now, what I don't know, and I'm guessing perhaps not, but I don't think that some of the other Star cards of Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, etc., are shooting up in value like the Jordans are because of that announcement. But this card looked relatively sharp to me, so and indeed it graded fairly well considering the grades we've gotten on the rest of this order. But I really don't know what the value will be. Again, if this was like a Jordan, this would probably be thousands of dollars. But it's Isaiah, and I don't know when if he would have had 84 cards. I don't know when Isaiah came into the league. Was it 82? Wow, that's kind of crazy. He was in the league for so long. And before his 86 Flair quote-unquote rookie card. So let's look this up, shall we? This one's probably not going to have a ton of comps, but oh, well, it's got the exact comp, and I was correct that the value of these is just pretty lackluster. You'll see some of the other cards. They did a Star Crunch and Munch set, so kind of different brands and stuff on these. So yeah, unfortunately, this card is just not worth much, and yeah, I probably should have looked this up before it was sent in to avoid the disappointment, but I'm not even going to put that guy in a sleeve. So that's a disappointment, that's a bummer. So $15 spent on grading, and the card's not even worth $15, but you know, that's what happens with a handful of things every time. Hopefully we won't have that experience too many additional times here. I think everything else seems, you know, high-end enough that even low grade, it's going to have some value. Alright, so Lenny Moore. This is a guy, 59 tops. I think this is a rookie, and apparently this guy is, you know, was a decent player, but I had not heard of him before. My friend had a card, you know, came with this card of him, so I told him, you know, what I told him was assume that anything that's like 60s or, you know, that's kind of, you know, 50s to early 70s, it has to be like a PSA 4 probably to be worth grading. It's got to be, you know, star player. So he picked this one out, and sure enough, it got a 4. So, alright, well, here's another one that just barely pays for the grading. It's like, yeah, you know, $11.50 and then $15. So at least it probably pays for grading. That assumes no fees. But yeah, that one probably should not have been sent in. All right, here's a card that I actually own the exact grade and card of Dan Marino, rookie, 1984 tops, PSA 7. I have a PSA 7 of this card. And back when I got it graded, which was probably like a year ago, I looked it up, and I think these were going for like $70. So it'd be interesting to see what they're doing now. All right. Oh wow, they're doing quite a bit less. 35 a couple days ago. 52. 41. 52. So I don't know. Call this a 40 to. How old are these? August. Okay, yes, I call this a $40 to $50 card. Which, yeah, the hobby, man. And oh man, how about this Shohei Ohtani news, guys? Holy smokes. A lot of money is going down the tubes right now. I have, you know, I have a fair number of Ohtani cards that I was kind of hoping to sell at least some of, because I kept thinking, what if, you know, he gets injured? And of course I didn't, because I'm a big dummy, but I did sell pretty much all of my, well, not all of it, but probably like 80 to 90% of my unopened Ohtani stuff, which I'm sure is going to be, you know, down significantly in the coming months. Although usually unopened product with a star player in it takes quite a bit longer to, you know, go down in value when compared to their individual cards. And of course 2018 stuff also has Acuna and Soto in it, who, you know, are not injured, so there is some buoyancy provided by those players. Here we have an 86 tops Jerry Rice rookie card, PSA 6. right, there's 55. That's nice. 58. Very nice. 59. 75. Very nice. So, all right, could have been worse. We'll call this $50 to $60 card, I think. Sorry, I didn't have the comps up. It's getting hard to remember when to switch it over, but I'll try, do my best. Alright, here's a fun one. Second year Pete Rose card, 1964 tops with the All-Star rookie logo. His rookie card was, of course, a 1963 tops that I can show you, not that exact card, but what the style of the rookie looked like, because I have one that's similar, yeah, coming up. But his rookie looked like one of these 1963 rookie stars, and he was one of the, photos in there. But that's not his rookie. Anyways, beautiful card. I actually, I don't know, I love Pete Rose cards because when I was just getting started in collecting, like in 1987, Pete Rose was, still super hot as a player because, he broke the all-time hit record in 1985, I believe. And, people were just thinking he was going to be one of these, legends of the game, like, Mickey Mantle or Lou Gehrig or Honus Wagner. And, probably would have been if not for the betting stuff. So yeah, the hype was very strong with him, and I just remember really wanting Pete Rose cards when I was a kid, but most were out of reach. So yeah, so especially these like early Rose cards, they feel very sentimental to me. This would have been, one of the coolest cards to have, and I remember how, huge his rookie card was. That 63 tops card. Back in the day, it still has a pretty decent amount of value. It's fairly scarce, especially in high grade. But there's not quite the demand for it that there was back then. So, let's see what we got here. Wow, pretty nice. Yeah, I was kind of hoping this was going to be another banger of a card, and it looks like it definitely got some nice value. So, $350. Earlier today it was $350, and then just a few days ago, $399, $380, $340, $400 on July 24th. So, yeah, I feel pretty confident we can call this a $350 to $400 card. Which again, I think is a real nice score for, a guy who had these just sitting in the closet. So let's look up, this is Gaylord Perry is the name that we're interested. Sorry, right there, Gaylord Perry. There's a guy on this one. This is only a very good PSA 3, so not the best, and probably won't have a ton of value. I'm guessing it's worth more than $15, but maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. No, so right around there. Oh well, that's a 2. $15. PSA 5 was $25. PSA 4 was $22. So actually, no PSA 3s. Kind of funny, but yeah, I think that this is probably $15 to $20 card. Not a lot of value in this one, unfortunately, but at least it kind of pays for itself grading instead of being a loss. All right, here is a second year Mike Schmidt PSA 6, very nice. card, but all right. So 30, 3250, 27, 49, August 6th. So I don't know, we'll call this a 30 to $40 card. Wow, 30 to, I don't know, that $49.99 looks like an outlier. Everything else is kind of 20 to 35. Here's one for $49.99 back in June. So, hard to say. I don't know. I think I'll call this a $35 card. All right, next up we have, I think, actually I feel like that Schmidt might be mine. At some point we jumped into my cards, but I can't remember where. I gotta check with my friend to see which ones were his. But I think this Maris is mine. But I definitely think everything after this Maris is mine, if not this Maris included. So in any event, I take that back. The large cards we're going to see at the end are my friends and not mine. I just had a few of these regular size cards. So 67 tops Maris, not too high grade. But Roger Maris is the local favorite around here because he is a native of Fargo, North Dakota, where I broadcast from and reside. Alright, so 4 for 26. I'm not sure why that comes up before this one, which is a 5 at 63. Another 5 at 60. Interesting, this is a 5, but it looks pretty beat up. It's quite off center. There's a 5 for 32. So, yeah, I don't know. I know, it's kind of weird. It seems like this one's going up, although this, well, that's a 4, so the most recent one is this August 1st. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll call this, the thing I noticed about, vintage cards is, you know, there's a lot of variance here, but typically that variance is because, you know, a PSA 4 card can look amazing, you know, in terms of eye appeal, or it can look pretty awful. So the ones that have the better eye appeal because, you know, the front maybe is great, but the back has a tear on it or something, or some writing or something like that, those tend to sell more, you know, at the same grade level than something that has issues with the front of the card, like, one of these was real bad, like this one. This one looks like, I don't know, it looks beat to hell to me. Let's see what the close-up looks like, really. Okay. Like, it's really off-center. It's got some clear surface issues, and, like, the registration is off, so it looks, like, really weird. So it kind of looks like, you know, pretty crappy, and that's why probably it went for $19.50, whereas this one that's $60 for the same. Again, these are both PSA 5s, but you look at this one, and you know, it's relatively well centered, very nice registration, no surfaces, very clean front. It just presents so much better. Probably the fact that it's a large seller. SSI is a very big seller of sports cards. You know, means there was more people bidding on it as well, so, you know, that is a factor as well. But in general, cards that present nice for the grade are going to do much better than cards that, you know, present poorly for the grade. And that's just, you know, sort of common sense. But I think a lot of people maybe assume that any, you know, one PSA 5 is the same as any other PSA 5 in terms of value, and that's actually not true by quite a stretch, and it's especially not, you know, not true with, like, the lower grades, where you can have a card that just looks, you know, immaculate on the front, but it's got some issues on the back. so it gets, dinged for that versus something that the back is fine, but the front is off center and it's got scratches and all sorts of other issues. So, in any event, I think we're going to call this now this one is pretty off center, so I think that's going to be an issue. Other than that, card looks very clean though. So I don't know, I think I'm going to call this like a $40 card. Again, I think this one's mine, so for whatever that's worth. Maybe I'll be biased in favor of cards that are mine in terms of value, but alright, 69 tops, Bob Gibbs, and this one's pretty beat up on the corners. Only got a VGA 3. And, Bob Gibson is not one of the most collected players of the 60s, but thought I'd send it in anyway, so. Alright, so just a couple weeks ago, this sold for 27. There's one for 19, 22. So, it's like probably a $22, $23 card, I would say. Okay. Next up, Hank Aaron. I feel like I have another one of these that's actually just like this in that it's really quite sharp on the corners, but the centering is pretty far off. So, I mean, if this was centered perfectly, it would probably be a PSA like 7 or 6 at least. So, let's look that up. And of course, Hank Aaron is one of the most collected players of the 60s, so you expect him to do a lot better than somebody like Bob Gibson. Alright, why in the heck 69 tops, Hank Aaron? And the only things that come up are Al Keyline. What the fuzz? Alright, well there's one like 3 down. That's sold on August 14th for $140. And then right below, the day before that, sold for $120. And then below that, $121. So I don't know, we'll call this a $120 to $130 probably card. Pretty nice, actually. Pretty nice. Alright, next I've been sending in like every mantle I can find of mine, and I've had quite a few that that I bought raw off eBay, and actually none of the ones that I bought raw off eBay have failed to grade, so that's been nice. I also used to buy these raw because I was doing a collection of like every Hall of Famer from like 1960 tops onward. So I needed these kind of low-end mantles, but mantle cards have really, taken off, and I remember I used to get a PSA 1 for like $100 or less from most of the 1960s sets, and at one point I was like, man, $100 for a mantle card, that's graded, that's a great deal, I'm just going to buy those, so I went and bought a bunch of those. Ended up selling those quite a few years ago, but I should have kept them all. But the sort of kind of base price or floor price for like a 60s graded mantle PSA 1 is about about $200 now. So they're definitely up. And if you get a PSA 2 or higher, you're really in business. So I got a 2 on this one, which is fantastic. And I just have a growing number of graded mantles, which makes me warm and fuzzy when I think about it. So, add this to the pile. I just love, how could you be a Yankees fan and not love, 60s Mickey Mantle? excited that all the mantles I sent in with this order, did get numerical grades, which is awesome. Alright, so let's look this up. So this is one of the later ones. His last card, of course, was 1969 Topps. Again, why does, like, Ernie Banks come up as the first hit? Alright, so clearly I've overestimated the pricing on these, but again, this is a later 60s one, so it is not gonna be the same as, like, a PSA 2 1960 or 61 or 62. But yeah, 135 does strike me as a little bit low for this card, and it may be because these are just sort of down along with the general market. But I do think that vintage has been on a very different trajectory than modern cards. Like during the big pandemic blow up, vintage cards generally did not really move that much. They did not spike in value almost at all, and certainly not as much as the modern cards of the stars, of the time, 2020 and 2021. However, since the past, I would say, like, year or year and a half, as the modern stuff has really cooled off, vintage has been heating up significantly. It has been on a real run, but it might be sort of dipping a little bit now. But in any event, I'm seeing 135. I'm seeing another 135, 118. So I don't know. Call this a $130 card, I think. This one will be interesting because it's actually the same grade, but it's 2 years earlier. So does it come in at a bit more than the 68? On the theory that older is generally better and generally lower production numbers. Well, let's find out. 66 Topps mantle. All we gotta do is go back to our search, change one number, 68 to 62, and that's our search. Whoops, 66 is what I meant. Alright, so it's actually, looks like it's about right about the same price. There is a couple of, that's a 2.5, so that's different grade, but we got 134, we got 103, we got 145, so maybe it's on average a titch higher. But well, here's that's a 3. So I don't know, I think I'm just gonna call this a 130. So it seems to be kind of the same value as the 68, which is a couple years later than this one. Okay, I do think the vintage mark's probably a little bit down. I think probably when the vintage mark was spiking, which may have happened, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months ago. These cards would probably be closer to maybe 170 or something. So here's a nice earlier 60s mantle, but unfortunately you got a qualifier. The MK means mark, and that's the little pen mark on there that frankly you can not really notice all that much. It kind of looks like somebody tried to erase it a bit too, because it looks sort of like smudged away almost. But this one we're probably not going to find a comp for, because these qualifier ones are relatively rare. I'll bring you over in a sec. Don't let me forget, guys. I'm going to search for that qualifier and see what I can pull up. Yeah, so nothing. Okay, sorry, the recording stopped there because my hard drive apparently filled up. I had to go delete. Generally I just record these videos and keep them in a folder, and they're quite large, like, anywhere between like 3 and like 10 gigs, depending on if I record, 20 minutes versus an hour or hour plus. So, I've got dozens of them. I gotta go and get rid of them, but I don't really think to do it. So anyways, I was saying, I think that, the general rule of thumb for, cards that have a qualifier on them in PSA is that they have the same value as one grade down. So this would have the same value as a PSA 1 with no qualifier. General rule of thumb, probably not always super accurate, but because I can't find any other comps for the MK qualifier, I'm just going to look at PSA 1s and assume the value is about right there. So there's one for 180, there's one for 146, and again, this is quite an older 60s card, so that's why you're seeing prices that are higher. By the way, I just think these cards, these old mantle cards, are so freaking cool. I mean, come on, this is like certainly the most, popular player of his era. A Yankee legend, just an American icon, really. You can have a card that's now 60 years old, of this guy for $150. Come on, that's awesome. If I was smart, I would just have bought like all of these and like spend all my money on, instead of modern stuff, just buy like a ton of these, like all sorts of 60s stuff, and just hang on to it for like 20 years. And maybe it's actually not worth anything, but I find that unlikely. Alright, so 180, 146 are our comps, so I don't know, I'm just gonna call this, I think, maybe 150, 160, something like that. Be a little conservative since we don't have an exact comp. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna go put these in my collection of graded mantles and sort of look through them a bit. And I've probably got quite a few now because I sent in a small group, maybe like 3-4 of my low grade mantles. The last time I did a vintage order, and what did I say for this 150? So I got, I added some then. I got these. I got a bunch, that I've just bought graded. So I should have a nice collection of them now. Alright, we got a 62 Topps Yogi Bear. This is another one that I had bought for my Hall of Fame Topps collection. And it looked pretty decent, so I thought, if it gets a 6 or a 7, it's probably a pretty nice card. But it got a 5, and, I don't think it's going to have a lot of value, but we'll see. Okay, well, it is actually worth a fair bit more than I was thinking it would be, so that's good. Looks like the first comp there is really nice. $100. It's the most recent one. Then we got $60, and these are all 4s and not 5s, so not really useful. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be optimistic and call this an $80 card. Pretty sweet. Always happy to have more Yankee legends graded. Okay, well, just like that, we got another qualifier. William McCovey, 1960 Topps All-Star Rookie. I think this is his rookie card. I don't believe he had a 1959 Topps card. So it's one of those rookie cards that, actually is a rookie and has the rookie cup logo on it, which generally is going to be on the second year card of a player. So kind of a cool card. Obviously, William McCovey is a a legend in the Giants organization and in baseball in general. So it's a pretty cool card. 1960, obviously pretty early as well, so might have some value because of how early it is, and it's a rookie card. So let's look it up. I suspect, as usual, we're not going to find many comps here, but we do have a PSA 3 with the MK qualifier. But that's about it. So, I don't know, I'm going to do again. I'm going to look for PSA 1s. See what we get. Alright. Forgot to put the 1 in there. 75 bucks, 51 bucks. And that's it for PSA 1s. So not a ton of comps for the PSA 1s. I think I'm going to call this like $60. Going to split the middle there. These Post-it notes are terrible. They're like some off-brand. I think they're like Target brand or something. And like, I just put this on like 3 minutes ago and it's already coming off, for God's sakes. Just useless. But that's alright. We'll probably just be ripping them off at some point soon. Alright, let's just keep marching here. Alright, we got 1960 tops. Brooks Robinson, his rookie cards, I believe, are 57 tops. This is like a 4th-year card. And this one looked really sharp. This is another one that came from my Hall of Fame tops collection. And I thought it might do a little bit better than it did, but it got a PSA 4. So, again, Brooks Robinson, very good player, but not the most collected of his era. Not, like Mantle or Mays or Aaron, those types of names. So I don't suspect we'll see a very high value for this, but it is a 1960, so that's pretty early, so that's helpful, and there is a little bit of value, a little bit of hope here. So 56, 50, 49, 49. 43, so I'm going to call this up, and that one was 74, that's a 6. So yeah, I don't know, I think I'll call this a $50 card, since the most recent comps were, 50 or higher. I almost don't want to use these anymore. Okay. So, speaking of Mays, Aaron Mantle, here we go. 72 tops. This is one of the last, I think, Willie Mays cards. I'm pretty sure he had a 73. I think he played for, if memory serves, I believe he played like 1 year with the Dodgers. Actually, he played with the Mets too at the very end of his career, for like a year. So maybe he had like a 70. Did he have a 75 as well? That sort of seems familiar to me, but this one is a pretty low grade and it's a 70s card. So I don't know. We haven't looked up any Mays stuff, so maybe it'll surprise me. But I think this is going to be a low grade or low value card. That's my guess. All right, so there's most recent comp is $40, then 36 in July, 26 in July. So yeah, I think we'll say this is a $35 card. And now we move on to the oversized cards, which were, packaged separately. First one I'll show you is the other rejected one that I had mentioned. This is a John Havlicek. It's nice that they put this in a sleeve and a card saver, because when I sent this in, all I had was what my friend had put this in, which was just like a top loader, with no internal sleeve. I didn't have any stuff that would fit this, but they did have that at PSA. So, anyways, so this one, this is not a rookie, but it is, an early card of a Celtics legend, which definitely has some value if it grades, even decently. But this one got rejected. It says miscut, and you can see this is kind of like a trapezoid shape. It's sort of slanted, and it's not, the shape it's supposed to be. So I guess they don't grade those. I thought that I thought they had a qualifier for that, but apparently not. They just reject them now, which is kind of a bummer. You can see how like that's straight and the card is diagonal, both sides. Is that no, it's not a trapezoid, it's a parallelogram, I think. So that's kind of a bummer, for sure, but at least this has they sent some nice packaging for this, so I appreciate that. But yeah, that's the one other card that did not grade in addition to that. That Rock Crew. Alright, next up, so all of these tall boys are 69 tops cards. You may have seen these cards before. They're kind of iconic, but kind of annoying that they're so large. Anyways, this is a Willis Reed card here. It's a PSA 4, and again, not a rookie, but actually, I feel like 69 tops was like, 86 Fleer, in that there was no 68 tops, no 60, they basically didn't make cards from like, gosh, I want to say like 57 tops. They made a set, and then not again until maybe this one. So I feel like actually a lot of these might be rookies, if I'm recalling. I'll switch over a second here. So I want to see if some of these listings, say rookie, which might be the person not knowing what they're talking about, but alright, well, here is the exact card sold in actually earlier today for $49. There's one with the MK qualifier. Here's one that sold for $50. So I don't know. I think this is pretty safely a $50 card, since there were recent comps for the exact grade. So I think we'll call this $50. Unfortunately, I don't have any sleeves that will fit this card, so we just gotta try to treat them nicely. So none of the listings said a rookie card, so I'm assuming that that's not considered a rookie card. But maybe some of these other ones are. I know this one's not, but how can you go wrong? Jerry West, the legend, the guy who's in the logo for the NBA, allegedly. And of course, just a huge legend of the NBA and the Lakers organizations, especially. This one got a PSA 3, so not particularly high grade, but he's such a big name, I suspect that will have a fair bit of value. Alright, I was wrong. $45. I guess it's just too low of grade. Yeah. Alright, well, what can you do? Yeah, I see some of these like PSA 4.5 selling for $51. PSA 4 for $52, so I feel like 45 is actually a bit high for this. So I don't know, I think I'm going to call this a $40 card. Even though there's only one comp on the exact grade, but looking at the sort of grades around it, I think the $40 is probably more accurate than the exact comp. Okay, last but most certainly not least, we have this beauty, and I remember this card very well from my friend's collection. When he was a kid, of course, if you don't know the name Lou Alcindor, it was the name of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar before he changed it, I believe, as part of his Muslim faith. So in college he was known as Lou Alcindor, and in the early part of his career he was known as Lou Alcindor, but shortly thereafter changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which we all know him by now. And this is in fact his rookie card. So it's got college stats on it, which is pretty fun. And this one actually I see is kind of trapezoidal or whatever, parallelogrammed as well, because you can see how the print is further from the edge down here than up here, and the opposite way up there. So apparently they felt like they could grade this one, but not the other one. But I'm glad they did grade this, because this is a big dollar card in higher grades. In PSA 2, it's not going to be worth a ton, but it is going to definitely be one of the better cards in this order. So let us see. Alright, so we got a 496, we got a 521. This one was really nice, 669. From August 4th, July 20th, 750. So these were quite a bit higher, just a couple of months ago. But they seem to be coming down, unfortunately. There's a fair bit of variation. But I don't know, this is a relatively clean copy, so I'm gonna say this is definitely at least a $500 card. Maybe it could do a little bit better based on some of these sales, but how much better, who knows? So I don't know. I'm gonna put like 500 plus on this one, so pretty nice value there. Alright, well, there you have it. I think at one point I had like a PSA 4 or 5 of that card that I bought for like $200 back when those cards were just not of interest to anybody. There was a time not too long ago when that was true. You could get pretty much like any major star rookie of football and basketball from the vintage era for like about a tenth of what it sells for now, and about a 20th of what it sold for during the pandemic bubble. So alright, well, that's what we got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know we got a lot of people excited about every PSA reveal that happens, so, and I was excited to get these back. Boy, it took a long time to get these back. I feel like it was like, geez, like I might have been almost 6 months, and lately they've been doing quite